So, think back to this morning and how has your day been since that time? So we'll get there in a minute, but just to have both feet flat on the floor, knees about a hips width apart, and shoulders aligned with the hips. And imagine your spine is this beautiful string of pearls of light that stretch from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And just put some space in between those vertebrae. Lengthen your spine. Bring your attention to the crown of the head and relax your scalp and the forehead and the eyes and the nose and the cheeks and the mouth and the back of the tongue, the temples, the ears, the inner ear. Relax the back of the head and the neck, and allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down. Relax the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. And just be aware of the sensations of the breath. So the sensations of the breath around the nostrils, the base of the nose, the tip of the nose. Be aware of the sensations of the breath around the chest cavity, the lungs. Notice the diaphragm. Notice as you're inhaling and exhaling, it's a 360-degree breath. It's not just breathing in and out of the chest area. And then relax the belly. Notice the breath sensations around the belly, around the abdomen. And now be aware of any sound, any smells. Just allow the sounds to be there. Try not to follow with the mind. Try not to run off and investigate. And then just bring the mind very gently back to your breath. And here's where we can track our thoughts a little bit. So just notice what's arising in the mind now and try and track it back to this morning and just see if there's a difference. And for Shrey, if you're here, you're in your morning. So track back through the night. If you've had any dreams. And then just try and put some space in between the thoughts. And, the purpose of doing the meditation we did this morning was to track the continuum of your consciousness, this river of mental moments. And then as you're looking at your mind, as you're looking at all these little moments in time, and how one moment, one thought leads to another and another and another. And your mind's moving on in that way. And then try and be curious and objective about what you see there. And then bring to mind all the people of your life, your loved ones, your strangers, the ones you don't like so much. Remembering these relationships are interchangeable. And they're all equal. They're all the same as you and me. They all want to be happy. They don't want to be suffering, and they all have this extraordinary capacity for a Buddha mind. So we think we'll do this meditation this evening for all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. So we think there is no negativity that can't be purified, and this purification process is basically a psychological one. We create negativity with our mind, so equally we can change it by creating positivity instead. So we start with this power of regret, and just think, I sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general, regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions. And so, having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we will experience. And we know from our present suffering, we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows, because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to the power of reliance. And here we rely upon, we turn to the Buddha, Vajrasattva, who we see as a doctor rather than a higher power, who has these methods that we can use to purify. And we're not necessarily needing Buddha to forgive us. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his medicine. So, imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. And he's made of this beautiful, radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. And he has a beautiful, radiant face, and his eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. And his arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell, and this represents the wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two, and this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened by this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva. May I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. And in order to develop compassion, so this is the second little section under reliance. The first was refuge, and this is developing compassion. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings. So the very beings we have harmed. So bring to mind somebody you may have harmed recently, and just have a wish for them to be free from suffering. Kind of changes the energy when you think like that. And then think of someone who's harmed you, maybe, and the same thing. The harm that they've caused you, you have just tremendous compassion for these people, because it's going to end up coming back to them sometime in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. And then we come to the power of remedy, and this is the actual medicine, doing the practice of purification. And we start with the body, and imagine Vajrasattva very compassionately sending powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart, and it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid, and this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satva hum pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of our speech. And Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra. And this arcs around and forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking about people behind their backs and getting other people to agree with you. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra again. Om Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drita meboa situkaya meboa sipukaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipukaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta me boa sawa siddhi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajra Mame Mutta Vajra Bala Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajra Safa Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Safa Dina Patita Trina Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajra Mame Mutta Vajra Bala Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajra Mami Mutta Vajra Bala Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta meboa sawa siddhi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajra mami mutta vajra bawa mahasamaya satra hum pe. All right, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified. And imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others with your speech. And that includes yourself, because you'll hear your own words. And the next is this purification of our mind. Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart. And this arcs around and enters your crown chakra and fills your entire being. So you imagine you've walked into a room, you flick on the switch, and the light that comes instantly dispels the darkness. So you imagine the same here. The moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all your attachments and neediness and bitterness and grudges and anxiety and depression and jealousy, all of this instantly dispelled and not one atom left. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajra mami mutta vajra bawa mahasamaya sata hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajra mami mutta vajra bala mahasamaya sata hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajra mami mutta vajra bala mahasamaya sata hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajra mami mutta vajra bala mahasamaya sata hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajra mami mutta vajra bala mahasamaya sata hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajra mami mutta vajra bala mahasamaya sata hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Jita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajra mami mutta vajra bala mahasamaya sata hum pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified. And imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech. Oh, sorry. Our mind. Beg your pardon. And just be delighted that all your delusions, which are the thought source of all of our own suffering, cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are now completely purified. And think there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And next is this purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. So you imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar, and it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your consciousness. So we'll imagine the nectar flowing down from the top to the bottom, pushing out all the negativities of your body, and then going the other way from the bottom all the way up to the top, pushing out all the negativities of your speech. And then one more time, the light comes and just destroys, it eradicates all the negativities and the delusions of the mind. So we're working at a more subtle level here, but it's just a sort of an extra sweep, and it's all happening all at once. Down, up, blasting with light, eradicating even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your consciousness. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Trita meboa Sutukaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Trita meboa Sutukaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe. So now feel completely purified. There's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And now we come to this power of resolve, and it's the fourth and final step in the purification process. And it's a really crucial one, because here is where we actually make a decision to refrain from harming. We have to decide. And it gives us some guardrails. It's like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in new and more positive directions. So just think of something you'd like to work on. And before that, just rejoice in your efforts coming along, doing this practice with everyone. And, think about something you'd like to work on between now and tomorrow. Keep it simple. Maybe you just think about it one time for a minute in a day. Or if you find yourself falling into some kind of a habit, just think, oh, here I go again. Let's take a step back and look at it. And maybe I can refrain from this. So, however you want to do, but just keep it simple, really keep it simple. You're not going to be doing any, massive New Year's Eve resolution type stuff here. It's just very humbly, very slowly, one baby step, one foot in front of the other. So imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wants to merge with your mind and melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next, Rinpoche recommends to meditate on emptiness. And he would say, in emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. In this way, we can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. And you can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. And there was just I saw somebody's puppy, Molly Padilla, an older Jack Russell who's having medical issues. Okay, so think about Molly. And then also one of my friends here, Cindy, one of her friends has passed away. So I think his name was Michael. Anyway, I mean, so you maybe have people of your own who just think about at this particular point to dedicate the practice to them. There's always going to be so many. So just keep them in your mind. You can even have a little list. Maybe you dedicate at the end of the day your little list of people. And it can get very extensive. So just sometimes Lama Zopa Rinpoche would say, like, for anyone who's asked me to pray for them. Okay, let's just do our chanting the names of Manjushri. Aware of dhyana's each and every aspect, with knowledge of samadhis, types and families, the best of bodies, body of samadhi, the sovereign king of all enjoyment bodies, the best of bodies, emanation body, the heir to emanation of all the Buddhas, with varied emanations everywhere, while benefiting all however needed, the sovereign of all the gods, the God of gods, Azura Lord, the ruler of immortals, the king of deities, the god's guru, the highest Lord of Paramathas, Paramatha. Okay, everybody. So let's have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long, and for the swift return of our precious Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and then for all of your own individual teachers. Just have a strong wish for them to live long. All right, everybody. Lots of love. Thank you so much. Thank you for